Yo, continuing my weird meeting spot, I am on a spaceship. It took a while to get used to, cause after walking around an infinite desert for 13 minutes straight, you kinda forget how to do all of your other actions. So this is the button that gives you a copy of Mario Paint. I still haven't found a screen here though, so I'm not sure if it could actually run Crisis. So now I need to figure out where the eject button is. But until that happens, I went over here to see if I can find any aliens. I did find furries though.
The SNES was one of the greatest consoles of all time. This is what 40-year-olds were playing when they were 5. With one of the best games of all time, like Super Tennis Sickle Pocket, Claymates, Splunky's Quest, and Donkey Kong.
You can't play that on your PS5!
The jump from 8 to 16-bit was and will always be marvelous. While not as big as other innovations in the space, it was still crazy to see and hear more than beeps and boops. But if there is anything we can learn about the gaming industry is that people are fucking desperate. Whether it is to squeeze every pixel out of your console or to squeeze every penny out of your pocket.
That last one was supposed to be a criticism of modern prices.
The SNES was one of those consoles developers just couldn't push far enough. Many games were using different techniques and weird effects to try and get the lowest frame rate possible.
The SNES was also where 3D was starting to make its way. Okay, it wasn't really 3D, more like what 3D would look like with better technology. But it's those games that we see the SNES push the furthest.
Today we're taking a look at Star Fox, the game that marked the start of the transition to 3D. Developed and published by Nintendo, Star Fox was released in 1993, just a few months before Doom. Who knew that fairies would start the transition to 3D? Star Fox takes the popular approach of cutesy little animals going to beat the shit out of a monkey.
Look, I too don't like animal abuse. But if a dog tells you what to do...
And the dog definitely told me to do that. Not a very complicated story outside of that. But again, this was the standard back then. Nevertheless, Star Fox is a shoot 'em up, and a very basic one at that. These types of games were super common on the SNES. The only thing that Star Fox really add is... well, an extra dimension. And speaking on the SNES, what the fuck? I have no idea how the SNES is able to run this game, and it can barely do that either. If the NES is a toaster, then the Super NES is a microwave. What is this, like 12 FPS? If that's normal to you, then... you know what, I'm not even gonna finish that sentence. On the surface, Star Fox is not complicated at all. Like every game in this style, you're trying to shoot everything you see while avoiding everything that's been shot at you. The problem is, I can't fucking see anything. The abysmal performance mixed with the horrible presentation makes the game almost impossible to play. There is so much crap at the screen where it's easier to get blindfolded before finishing the game. Seriously, the amount of pixels and particles in some of these levels is so gigantic it makes me flinch. This game does not look good, and a lot of its issues come from the fact that you ain't got the slightest sense of what's going on, what's an enemy, what to avoid. It's all just big fat nonsense.
This is a very noble game in the sense that playing it now feels more like a science experiment than actually trying to have fun. You can already see that, for its time, this game was revolutionizing. But if we take the perspective of a dumbass teenager making a review about Star Fox, then it's where we see the issues coming together.
Okay, let's take things back a bit. The performance and limiting freedom the devs had were most likely have been taken into consideration when working on the game, as it is structured in a particularly strange way. Star Fox doesn't have the common level-to-level gameplay. Rather, at the start of the game you select a route you'd like to go through. 3 routes are selectable. Each route has its set of 6 levels, with the exception of the 3rd route having 7 levels instead. But why is that, you ask? Why not just have the levels crumpled up in one singular route? And the answer for that will be...
the game is not really fun.
The gameplay of Star Fox could have been alright, maybe even decent, if it was just on a stronger console. And I mean, Star Fox 64 basically shows that. That's not really a hot take though. What we have on the SNES isn't unplayable, but that's as far as it goes. The moment-to-moment gameplay can be summed up to spamming shoot and moving. Two types of levels are in the game, third person and first person. Aiming in the third person level is impossible. You don't have an aiming reticle, meaning that the only way to aim is to spam and hope for the best. The first person levels have an aiming reticle, but those also give you obstacles to try and avoid, which is impossible. Not to mention everything is already impossible due to the low frame rate, and you have a game that gets old after an hour. So now it makes sense why every round in the game takes an hour long.
Very convenient.
Now the game also encourages you to shoot for a high score, which means that outside of shooting everything you can see, you also need to make sure your friends survive. That's right, not the most isolated game ever. I mean, it has a talking dog. Falco, Sleepy, and the other one all start the journey with you, but not finish it, as it is impossible to keep them alive. Except for Falco on my second run, which by a miracle survived with full health. I guess that's why they put him in Smash. Protecting these dumbasses is stupid. Most of the time it allows you to kill a certain enemy, but as I said, aiming is stupidly hard. Plus half the time you'll accidentally shoot them, as you can't differentiate between them and a normal enemy.
I guess you just can't have racism with pixels. Well, unless you're Microsoft.
It makes sense why the routes are so short. It's not like they have too much to offer. Playing only one of these routes is enough if you just want to see what this game is all about. These routes basically exist as a difficulty slider. If it was actually just one route with all of the levels, then it would get stale super quickly.
Okay, so I didn't really find anything useful here. Maybe it's because I'm traversing in a straight line, or because whoever was playing just disconnected. This was fun overall, not really, but I think it's just time to dip.
Whatever route you take, the final boss is always going to be the same. And guess which of the assist trophies in Smash is the final boss? That's right, it's the fucking face. I have no idea what is going on. Star Fox gets a 5.5 out of 10. Look, as cool as this game is, it was not fun to play. But then you'll say, this is one of the first 3D games, of course it's janky, of course it doesn't hold as well as others, what did you expect? And yes, I agree with you there, but critically looking at this was not the time of my life. I love the fact that it exists, it's wacky, it's different, and it shows that Nintendo were looking to innovate. But it's just not fun to play. If you're ever looking to get this game, play it on the Switch Classics, and don't be afraid to rewind once or twice. Or a lot.
Alright, so I escaped that furry contest. I am definitely relaxing here in space.
Wandering around space. Comforting if you hate grass, or everything. Having infinite times, infinite space, infinite feelings, infinite emotions, infinite thoughts. It's relaxing, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I don't have anything else anymore but my own will. Maybe it's because I don't need to care about anyone else. Or maybe it's because this song is just way too good. Yeah, it's this one. The other would scare the shit out of me. As I continue to hover around space, I wonder, what am I supposed to think? What to do? Should I resist and try to find a way back? Or just let it be? Hell, all I wanted from the first place is just to go back home. Who knew this will end like this?